Welcome back to Uncork My Wine, where I currently taste myself through 1,368 grape varieties as defined by Jancis Robinson, Julia Harding and José Vouliamo in their beautiful encyclopedia Wine Grapes. Today, beautiful summerly regards from Saxony, Germany's third smallest wine growing region with around 530 hectares under vines today. And when being in Saxony, we have to talk about something very specific actually, despite it being a French grape variety, according to the encyclopedia. We talk about Goldriesling. And Goldriesling, that is a very interesting story actually. It was crossed originally actually in Alsace, in Colmar, but today we only find it, or nearly only find it, here in the wine growing region of Saxony. But before diving into it, let's have a closer look what Jancis and the team are saying about Goldriesling as usual. So in the headline they write, it's an Alsace cross producing light white quaffing wine, now a specialty of Saxon in eastern Germany. So basically what we just recited. So let's look into the history first. 1893, Goldriesling has been crossed by a guy called Christian Oberlin at the Institut Viticole Oberlin, which is in Colmar in Alsace. And basically, as you can see from the name, Institut Viticole Oberlin, and the guy is called Christian Oberlin. He has been like a very important figure in establishing this institute that actually has been the foundation for many interesting crossings, like especially in the beginning of the 20th century. As such, Goldriesling is not only like a cross itself based on Riesling, so this is actually like a real Riesling. Sometimes there's a little bit of name confusion. You might have heard of Ollers Riesling or Welsch Riesling, as the Austrians call it, where we always run out, is it actually Riesling or not? We'll come to that later, of course, in the video about the grape variety. But Goldriesling is indeed really a grape variety that was crossed using Riesling. In the beginning, there was really a bit confusion because Oberlin actually indicated that he used a grape variety called Courtiller Musqué, but actually we have proven with DNA analysis at some point of time, yeah, this is not the case. And by the time the book was written in 2012, actually, there was no update on what grape variety has been used. But if we look today in the International Wine Database, VIVC, then we actually see that by genetic analysis, we now have proven that the crossing partner of Riesling for creating Goldriesling has been Malingre Précoce. And Malingre Précoce is actually a fairly old variety dating back to 1840 and definitely has some Pinot connotations. So this explains a little bit the heritage of Goldriesling. Goldriesling was then later used for crossing a variety of PV varieties that are especially popular today in cool climates. For example, Maréchal Foch, that we know especially from Poland, or the Léon Millot, which also coming from the Alsace region, but for example is also like popular in Denmark and among Polish winemakers. Or a third one is the Lucie Kuhlmann, which is maybe not that widely known, but also like one of these important like PV varieties that like some cool climate regions are experimenting with today. So when it then comes to today's acreage of Goldriesling, then it's really a rarity globally seen. A good estimate is that there are maybe between 30 to 35 hectares of global plantation today, and 30 hectares of this at least we find here in Saxony. So in 2012, when the book was written, actually, Jancis and her team are pointing out that in France, at the time, there were maybe like less than a tenth of a hectare left of Goldriesling. So the French did really not take on that grape variety. It really found its home here in Saxony, where about these 30 hectares, yeah, maybe it is actually the total global plantation, we don't really know, can be found, and is actually cultivated like in an increasing extent, because if we look back in the numbers, like 2012, like Jancis and her team were referring to like 17 hectares of plantation in Saxony, but the German Wine Institute actually provided some new figures to me of 2024, where we actually have an acreage of 29 hectares. So a good increase, nearly like a doubling of the acreage like in the last like 12, 13, 14 years, which shows that the winemakers here actually are going a little bit back to the roots and taking Goldriesling as a grape variety kind of serious, because it is the signature grape variety when it comes, so to say, to Saxony. We only find it here, and it can be easily sold to like people coming here and traveling this wonderful wine region as a local specialty. That being said, I mean, look at the scenery behind me. We have there actually like hidden in the forest and the trees, the famous GG site Friedstein, where, for example, like VDP producer Martin Schwarz, of who we will taste the Goldriesling later, makes outstanding GG Pinot Noir and Riesling wine. And it's an amazing wine growing region, small easy to get from one place to another. A lot of quality winemakers here. Beautiful weather, as you can see here in August. Fairly cheap still to travel, like accommodation, food is really like lagging a little bit behind of other wine growing regions in Germany when it comes to the price point. So really like still one of these secret tips to just go to Saxony and just discover the wine growing region. Yeah, some great festivals going on here. They have like a wine route that you can follow. So super organized. We put some links in the show notes definitely to having a look at Saxony. So we are tasting in this video like a Goldriesling by VDP producer Martin Schwarz here from Saxony. But if you tasted like any cool Goldriesling from another German producer, just let me know in the show notes to get some inspiration. Did you taste the Goldriesling from another producer outside of Saxony or even outside Germany? Let us know in the comments so people can get some inspiration. And as usual, if you like the video, give us a like and subscribe to the channel to support like this crazy endeavor of tasting 1,368 grape varieties across the world. But time to get something in the glass. As I said, we have here the Goldriesling by VDP producer Martin Schwarz. Martin Schwarz is a fairly small winery, 5.8 hectares only. VDP member fairly recently, since 2022. One of these like really, I want to say, focused terroir quality producers working with the unique terroir that you find here in Saxony, a lot of granite and some magmatic soil actually. It brings out really like a crisp, mineral, elegant, like edgy style of wines. Definitely recommend his Rieslings. The Riesling Roter Granit, red granite is really like a prime example for what the region can do when it comes to Riesling. His Pinot Noirs from the Friedstein wine side behind me, absolutely like a secret tip for Pinot Noir lovers. But now let's get his Goldriesling in the glass. So yeah, fairly light in color, as you can see. More like fairly pale and like lemon greenish in color. So yeah, we reminds a little bit of Müller-Thurgau in that regard, I want to say. Not these like density and golden reflections that we always get from like pure Riesling. In the nose, we definitely can see some Riesling connotation. Yeah, it's fairly like aromatic, like expressive in this regard. Immediately like some freshness, like green apple, green pear, gooseberry. Has a tiny bit of green touch to it and a tiny bit of like notes of, I would say, nutmeg, something like spicy. Definitely like gets us like a connotation to that it comes from these like soils here in Saxony where granite is like such a like driving element, like loess, lehm and granite is usually like how we can describe the soil composition in Saxony. So it really gets some great like stringency and minerality in the nose. On the palate, undoubtedly there is a Riesling connotation because the acidity here is high, definitely really mouth-watering, really refreshing, really light and elegant, well integrated actually. So not disturbing at all, fairly light body. Alcohol is at 11.5%, so also like giving us this indication that we are in this like northerly cool climate wine growing region for Germany. No tannins naturally, it's a white wine and really in a steel tank driven way made as a white wine. Really lingers around here with this like refreshing palate, like very citric, very light, very easy, but it's also like something that we read in the literature like fairly often. It's light wines, yeah? It's table wines. It reminds maybe a little bit in the style of like what Chasselas is in Switzerland. It's wines that you can drink for lunch without any problem, light and elegant and easy and refreshing, some seafood to it. Yeah, definitely like a good idea. So this is interesting style of wine. When it comes maybe to the viticultural characteristics, kind of interesting to see what Jensis and her team actually writing in the book. They're writing actually it's early budding and early ripening. And according to my research and my talks with winemakers, at least the early budding seems to be a little bit of a mistake. The same, they also like say it's vigorous. Actually, when I talk to Martin Schwarz, he's more like, I want to say, in a complaining mood about the grape variety. On the one hand, he says, well, the yield is really not that good and very difficult. And actually, it's normal like budding, he says. And this is also like something I read somewhere else in the literature where they say even like late budding, which basically protects us a little bit against spring frost. Nonetheless, in the 2024 vintage, which was terrible here in Saxony, Martin Schwarz lost like a lot of his production. And then it's very early ripening. And the early ripening is really getting into the problem. Like 20, 30 years ago, I mean, this was amazing for a wine growing region like Saxony, which is a cold region. But today, I mean, we are standing here in like mid-August. It's 28 degrees here around lunchtime. So we definitely have no ripening problems anymore. Behind me are the first like red wines turning like totally like into color change, where a song in full swing, if not even done. Yeah. So Martin Schwarz is actually like a little bit pessimistic when talking about Goldriesling. Says also like his plantation, he will definitely reduce it because with global warming in full swing, Goldriesling is probably one of these losers of global warming because simply too early ripening, and then we have like way too high oxalate or way high to sugar levels when the phenolic ripeness is not there to match it actually. So really like a little bit of a problem for the future of Goldriesling. That being said, I mean, if you come to Saxony or if you get like your hands on wines from Saxony, Goldriesling is definitely something you should try. It's interesting, it's a local specialty here. So come around Saxony, travel a little bit, let us know in the comments if you tried any or if you have any inspiration for Goldriesling. Remember to subscribe to the channel, highly appreciated from my side. And then thanks for following this crazy journey of like tasting 1,368 grape varieties. Cheers on that.